Good day, beautiful people. My name is Amanda, and this is Let's Discuss. So today we're going to be doing a young recap of 2020 and all the wonderful and horrible things we have been through so far. A bit of a disclaimer, most of it has been horrible. But hey, we continue. This is somewhat of me trying to get back at everyone who's been telling me 2020 hasn't been that bad. It's not that bad of a year. I'm just being dramatic. It has, okay? It really has. So we start off with the first month. January. The sun there, as you can see, was supposed to show a brightness because we were all looking forward to 2020, and boy, were we so mistaken. We should have held on to 2019 with everything that we had. So, with that, we saw the burning of Australia in New South Wales, Australia, and most of us were contemplating if Australia would even be a country by the end of 2020. We had the America versus Iran after an Iranian general was killed after a drone strike that was ordered by Donald Trump. It was saw threats of World War III because of it. We also had ballistic missiles which were fired from Iran to Iraq, and two military bases were heavily affected by this. Yeah, and from there we had a Ukrainian airplane swoop in and sadly crash landed in Tehran, Iran, which was saw 162 people sadly pass away because of it. Then we also saw the impeachment of Donald Trump. We saw the passing away of Gigi and her father Kobe Bryant and 7 other passengers in a helicopter crash. We also had Meghan Markle and Prince Harry step down from their royal duties. What else? Oh yes, Wuhan, China recorded its first COVID-19 death. We also had the World Health Organization, something that I think many of us had never heard of until 2020, talk about the fact that COVID-19 is a real thing and they were informed about it. And boy, we should have realized. From there it was downhill. Wuhan then instated a citywide lockdown. Foreshadowing. Boy, was it right there. Then we saw the young month, Feb. I have to say, February had the least amount going wrong. We had simply the Who finally named our young lady who would be the star of the show in 2020, finally decided to name it COVID-19. Then we also had Trump getting acquitted, and Harvey Weinstein was found guilty of third-degree rape. Damn, was it a heavy-hitting month. Then we also had March. Oh my word, the 1 month that I always hate just because I don't know why. I really don't like March, personally speaking. And I'm sorry to anyone who's born in March. I don't like the month. And this year has never been more evident for the hate for March to be really, really understood and realize that coronavirus is real and would be affecting most of our lives. She graduated when most of us didn't, and became from epidemic to pandemic. Hello. This was the beginning of the end, as I like to call it, and the beginning of the world health crisis, really. We had many countries opting for a worldwide lockdown, for a nationwide lockdown, and Italy being the first country to actually instate a nationwide lockdown. We had global markets plummeting, and we saw the whole world basically go on silent. We had global markets being held together by Excel, PowerPoint, and Zoom. We had the Summer Olympics postponed, and it was a tough year. Our relationships have been transferred from physical interpersonal relationships face-to-face to a digital platform or any form of digital communication. We then had April, the month of rebirth, if you're prescribed to the Christian faith. Nothing was reborn in April. It was just the rest of the world's problems just being fast forwarded. So April had the global-wide coronavirus cases surpassing 1 million. We also saw the Nova Scotia attacks in Canada. We had Wuhan lift its lockdown ban while the rest of us were seeping deeper into the void of coronavirus. We also saw the Pentagon release footage of the UFOs. Which was kind of interesting, during the time where humanity was becoming obsolete. There was a sentient being that was going to come out of it and rise above us. Aliens, bad boy. Then we had the basically Kim Jong-un was pronounced perceived to be dead. Then he was then brought back alive when South Korea announced that no, he's actually not dead, he is living. Thanks, South Korea. Then we had oil prices plummet, which was great for us, but also horrible at the same time, because that meant world economies would be crashing. Because as much as we hate to admit it, oil prices are really what hold this world together. Because whether talking about plastic, petroleum, oil, coal, and many other forms, they all stem from the same thing, and that is fossil fuel. So when one goes down, all of them are sure to follow. We also had protests against lockdown regulations, with people still wearing their masks as they realized this would be the new normal. Then we had May. And May the 4th was not it, because no force was with me. So in May, we saw, as I like to call it, the racial crisis. As protests for Ahmaud Arbery began in the killing of George Floyd, we should have all seen that June was not going to get any lighter, nor was it going to get any better. But in May, we had a second wave of protests against the lockdown regulations, whilst individuals were still wearing face masks. Then we had migrant workers in India who sadly passed away during a horrific accident. We saw the cyclones in India began. So in India, they were fighting cyclones and COVID-19, two C's that you never want to see in your life. Then we had a locust swarm in Upper East Africa, which should have shown all of us that 2020 was going downhill, because we were barely halfway through it and it was basically the end of the world. Then we had my favorite month of all, because it's winter where I'm from, and my month of birth, hello, June. And boy, did my birthday not help me in any way. In June, we saw many countries get out of lockdown, even though cases were still increasing. But nay, in some countries they were clearly decreasing. Many countries opting to go back to school and start education systems formally, and to go off from the online education and to go back to more face-to-face teacher-student interactions. This was a very grave mistake, which many countries did regret, because it saw them having to go back onto stopping of education. Their virus cases did increase in a school setting. Shocking, I'm not surprised. We also saw the Black Lives Matter protest. We also saw, which became a whole global-wide thing, which was great. We saw Rhodes Must Fall, which in fact he definitely did. Then we had a month that I didn't even have enough effort to put into it, because July, the month that we're going through. I low-key ran out of highlighters, but high-key was just too lazy to do anything about July. So, what was July? What is July? July is a month that I'm sure people are hoping, because we've gone through 6 months of hell, will get better. But I'd like to remind you that hell still has temptations, and 2020 hasn't had any temptations. So, we had India got hit with one of the most horrific cyclones in years, and TikTok might be getting banned in July. We saw a church in South Africa being held hostage, and life is looking really great and interesting. Calculations are correct. We're going downhill from here. Through all of that, we are still seeing the occurrences of the Hong Kong protests, with the whole Hong Kong versus China when it comes to basically legislation. And we also have what is going on with the civil war in Yemen. I think 2020 is a clear representation of the world unraveling and seeing how clearly all our issues are very evident. It's from health crisis, which was caused by a clear indication that our health systems are really way off. We saw racial issues being brought up, because clearly those are way off. And then we saw Yemen and Hong Kong and protests, and also during the same time we had the issues with Palestine and Jerusalem and all that going on in the background that I'd like to remind you. In my hopes is that it will get better. I need it to get better. I really can't handle any more bad news. I think many of us cannot. And with the things that, the way that they're going, I won't lie. 2020 had us in the first half, and I'm hoping that the second half will get better. But that's it for me. If there's been some interesting information that I don't know about, because the fact that it was posted in mass media in your own country but wasn't posted in mass media worldwide, I would love for you to hit it up in the comments and to share your experiences or horrible things or wonderful things that have happened in your country, that have been going on, and just to inform others of what life is like to be in a different country, because many of us our news and information is centered around what's going on in our country and not necessarily the world wide web, yet we live in a globalized world. Interesting, but fact. If you enjoyed the video, like. If this helped you in any way, like. If you would like to see more of me, subscribe. It really helps. And if you enjoyed me, I suggest that you go look at some of my other videos. Critique is always welcome, and I hope that you and everyone have a better 2020 for the rest of that we have. We've been through 7 months, which means that we only have 5 more to go. Yes. And I hope that the rest of 2020 really does look up. I hope that you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.